that if we're not on the same page, sometimes you just have to walk away. So
It is very hard to do that, especially when you
Right.
come to the realization you really like that person. It is hard, but once you know, you got only two choices: play
yeah,
ignorant and
100%.
dumb, or act accordingly. No matter how much it's gonna hurt you, act accordingly to it. That's what you want. Do it. It is difficult dealing with the toxic relationships and expecting the best in someone. Why it's nice to have the best out thought process on a person and believe in their goodness and their abilities. They're just probably not in the right state of mind in the time frame. So if they somehow happen to catch up later on in life, then that's cool. But depending on wherever you may be at that point, that's gonna be a hard pill for them to swallow. But hey, you gave it your best shot. You put the best foot forward and everything else like that. So
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think going back to what you said about not being on the same page, I think that plays into another red flag when you think about balance. Not having that balance in terms of give and take. Like if I'm pouring everything into the relationship and you're just receiving, right?
yeah,
Or if I have these expectations and you're doing everything else above and around them, it's like when you're in a relationship, there has to be this sense of balance. Last episode, was it last episode? We talked about masculinity and femininity.
Mhm.
And that same thing applies to any relationship that you get into. It doesn't matter who's the masculine one, who's the feminine one, there has to be that sense of balance within the dynamic. Even if you guys take turns with that role, whatever it is. The effort, the support, the contribution in a relationship should
Mhm.
be balanced, right? There shouldn't be one partner who's consistently taking, or one partner who's consistently giving. And a
nah,
lot of times we see that in a lot of unhealthy relationships. I think, Mike, you were talking about, I don't remember in what context we were talking about this, but you were talking about maybe it was one of the episodes, the lady who, I think it was one of the old podcast episodes that I was re-listening to. You had a co-worker or something like that who was in a relationship, and she was working full time, and she was coming home and cleaning, and she was doing all of this stuff, and her partner was doing like nothing.
Mhm.
He literally just showed up.
Mhm.
And that is such a common thing in relationships, or the opposite way around. You have a man who is providing and doing all the things, and the woman just wants to be spoiled. Like, I just want to be here and look pretty. Um, so there has to be that sense of balance in relationships. Um, okay. So, any other red flags or warning signs that we feel like indicate unhealthy relationships?
Relationships with the children of their mother. I've noticed a trend in the past 15,
Mm,
20 years that everybody has, in fact, a child out of wedlock. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I am one of those
right.
parents. But two relationships that I think will be key for those who is to find out what type of relationship they have
Yeah.
with the mother of their child, and how they address her. Now, I have in my mind there's a mother of a child, and that definition to me is a person who's there for their child. The child comes first. They're not spending the quote unquote child support on themselves. They're applying it to where it needs to be. The child is
Right.
taken care of, doctor's visits, the things good parents do. And then there is a baby mama that is usually, and again, these are my thoughts and opinions, this person that may, in fact, use the child as a pawn, may not utilize the things that are given for the child. They may keep the child from the father because he couldn't watch it so the person could go out to a club. This is actually somebody that I know that did this to
Right.
another person.
Yeah.
So another thing that I look at is the relationship that they have with their children, as well as the relationship that they have with the person they call the mother of their child.
Right.
If it is a bad one, if it is toxicity, if it is drama, if it is anything of those things, it's usually one person. Either one still has feelings for the other person. They've not been provided those expectations, and then you're being brought in the mix as an innocent bystander, which usually receives the wrath. Or if they don't have a relationship with their children, and it is nothing as a result of the mother hindering that, then you'd have to consider hypothetically that if you were to have a child with this person, or you already have a child, what kind of influence are they going to have on your child?
Right.
Um, those are two. That's another red flag. I have a son. Um, I just don't have anybody around my son. I think the only people he's ever met besides Uncle Mike, Uncle Peter, um, his Uncle Kenny, my father, and his, we call him Terry. I don't call him anything. We just call him Terry. Is it? He's met one other person from the situationship that I was in, and that's in a 9 year span. That's very important. I don't think children seeing different partners is healthy.
Mm.
So if you don't have a good relationship with the mother of your child, there's a miscommunication somewhere. Somebody is not on the same page, and it results in you having unnecessary drama.
I could definitely see that. Um, I agree, and not just the mother of the child. If you're opposite gender, the
Hmm.
father, who whatever other parent, having a healthy relationship, and we talked about this in the previous podcast as well. There are boundaries that need to be set, and if those boundaries aren't in place, then that, I completely agree, is a red flag. Um, I think we in that one episode we talked about doing sleepovers. Like, yeah, if your partner is doing sleepovers with
All right,
their
all right.
other parent,
To be fair, to be fair,
no,
let me be fair. I did not approve of it. I wasn't okay with it. I really felt
but
it
the
was
fact that
suspect
they
as well.
asked,
I really felt it was suspect as well to begin with. However,
You are so secure in yourself.
it's
I
just
listen.
weird.
I'm secure in myself 100%, but it didn't make any sense. Though I did
Right.
protest that it did not make sense to me. However, I'm not going to be the person to basically, all right, do what you do. Just don't come back pregnant.
But for me, that comes back a respect thing. Like, if,
That part, it really
yeah,
does. It really does. It really does. But then
like,
at the same point in time, it's also like okay, everybody's different level of relationships and how they are in their relationships is different. Now,
right.
once again, we all agree, no, that there's no reason for the
May I ask what the context of that was? Was it like Christmas Eve and we're all going to spend the night
no,
at
no. It's the
um
weekend, and they're gonna be over there, so I'm gonna be over there too with them.
no judgment? No judgment here, but how does a conversation like that take? I know this is off topic, but I'm just gonna go spend the night with the father or mother of my child. Is
And
that
you're supposed to be okay with that because that's their dynamic and their relationship agreement or whatnot.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
and how did that play out? Inquiring minds want to know.
Well, needless to say, I'm not with said person.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
it didn't bode well. Didn't bode well. It was like at the end of the day, I'm like, you must think I'm stupid, girl. Stop it, stop it.
Oh, okay.
No, that's really what it thought. That's really what it came out to be. Because, like at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
what you're saying, it's a good conversation to have. But I'm trying to understand how do you explain that to somebody? But
How
then
do you
I
also,
explain what?
like, how do you explain that to somebody? How do you expect somebody to be okay with that? And I was just trying to find out. We had a podcast about the return of the exes and things of that nature,
Oh,
and
right.
it was like we asked, we never got a response. How do you? How is that even remotely justified? How do you sell that to somebody? Hey, listen, I'm dropping the kids off today and they're going to spend the weekend with their mother. I'm going to be over there
Me
too.
too.
Me too. We're not going to be in the same bed. I'm going to be on the couch or the guest room, but I just wanted you to know that's what's going to happen. And I would really like for you to be okay with the fact that I'm going to be spending the weekend or the night at my ex's place with our children.
mm. Are you brought into the dynamic of where you've met the children and you've established a relationship as well?
Yeah,
Was there a formal introduction of you and the father of the child?
nah.
So that, see, and in my personal opinion, I think that's something that goes overlooked on numerous occasions.
Mm.
Yeah, it definitely does. But it definitely does. And once again, it's those scenarios where you're just like, is the juice worth the squeeze? One, and then two, it's like you said, trauma. It's all trauma based. It's all trauma based. Because if I'm going to go ahead and meet your baby daddy, and you say, nah, he very disrespectful, then why are we keeping contact with this dude if he's very disrespectful? How do you
Because
want?
he's the parent of their,
I mean, you're saying
child.
that,
But
but
you
like,
have to
all right,
establish
cool.
that
What is,
boundary right then and there that this person in my life will not tolerate it. So me and Terry made a decision a long time ago, that we wouldn't have anybody around our child that we were not serious about. That was something that we established a long time ago. When I repeat, we have not been together in over 10 years. Like it is sunk like Jack on the bottom of the ocean, Titanic type situation. Like the ship will never sail again. Just to make that clear and understood, um, I still respected that rule, even though we were not together. He
no,
is
but
not
it's
actually in our
understandable.
life.
Like for each people, it's different. I get it definitely, definitely. Like
What does that say about you as an individual for you having a new relationship that you don't respect your new partner enough to
Mm-mm.
introduce them to the parent of your child? That says a lot. So if you don't get that respect, then that also opens the door for them to be able to disrespect you in a sense. And if I value enough to bring you around my child,
Right.
you will give me and them the same respect. But that's required. I'm a different breed. Like
now, like I said, everybody's different, but then you got to actually one myself had to dig deep and understand the respect level. And this isn't pride stuff. This isn't like masculinity, man, shit, or nothing. It's just like no, because I'm a firm believer of that old school saying: you give them an inch, they gonna take a mile. And at that point, you can't get mad because you kept on giving them a lot of inches. And so I gave an inch. Conversation was had. Then a mile took in, and I was like, nope, this isn't it. I'm sorry. I gotta go. Sorry.
did you was it just a conversation or was this is how this makes me feel? And as a result, I would be
Nah,
more comfortable. No?
no, 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 no. So, like, I gave it an inch and then the mile. So it was like, you let that one scenario slide with them sleeping over. I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to talk every day. So, all right, cool. And then, so because I let you do that, you felt it was okay to talk to me in this manner. Because I was okay with you being this way, I gave you that inch. And then, so that inch was like, oh, I can do this. Okay. Let's see what else I can do. Then, what else I can do turned into, nah, now you trying me. Get out my face. Get out my face.
So it shattered away from a child related situation to
Yeah,
not
something
just
else. Something else. So, and all I could chop out it is that people was coming from a bad place, dealing with trauma. Yo, that's 100%.